Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 22 career mode, and today we're here for the British Grand Prix in my Moto2 season. Now if you haven't seen the last episode, I do recommend you go check that one out so nothing is spoiled for you. But of course in the last episode we made our return to career mode. It had been such a long time and it was an absolutely dominant performance. The AI had absolutely nothing for us. We extended our lead. We now have almost 100 points in the championship. It's absolutely unbelievable. So going into my home race, I am feeling pretty good. But to be honest, it is a track where I'm not particularly great. The AI tend to be not too bad at this track, especially on MotoGP 21, they're actually quite good here. So it will be interesting to see how we get on. So I'll head into practice now. I'll see you at the end of practice, and we should hopefully get straight through into qualifying too. So then at the end of the free practice session, I actually ended up in second position, which isn't too bad at all. But I definitely had to scratch that time. It wasn't an easy time to come across. Palmer 3 had to have a couple of goes at it. There was a much improved last sector on my last runs that did help me quite a lot, but I'm still off Acosta here and it's only FP1, so the AI probably will step it up again. So I think it is going to be a much harder weekend than it was last time. Obviously last time I was walking the park, I had seconds in hand over the AI, whereas this week they're quicker than me. So again, it just highlights the inconsistency of the AI in these games, unfortunately. But either way, we will advance to qualifying now. I'm hoping that we should go straight through to Q2, but you never know. There's FP2 and 3, and they could definitely improve in those sessions. So as you can see, we did get straight through into qualified 2. But as you can see, a lot of the AI have improved ahead of us. You've got Chantra, Vietti, Canet, Dixon, Bobier, Agora, Schrotter, all improving ahead of Acosta. Then you've also got Fernandez and Arbolino just improving ahead of me, and there was only a tenth between myself and Acosta. Now, Acosta himself may well have improved as well. I guess we'll never know that for sure. But as you can see, we were pretty far down the order because Navarro, Salac and Ben Schneider were the only riders standing between us and Q1. But you can see go through Q1 then we had Sam Lowes, Joe Roberts, my teammate, Barry Baltus and Simone Corsi. I think that's 2 races in a row now that Corsi's gone through Q1, so it seems like he's definitely making the most of the MV Augusta, managing to actually get it out of that session. But this is definitely going to be a tough session because the AI are pretty strong at this circuit. It's not a circuit I particularly like, I'm going to be honest, even though it is the British Grand Prix, my home race. I'm not too fond of the circuit in any game, to be completely honest. It's not too bad in the F1 game, but you know, it's never really been a track I particularly excelled at. It's all about corner speed, so yeah, it's never going to be right up my alley. I'm not exactly the biggest corner speed advocate. But if we do nail a lap, we can see that we can get pretty close. I assume they're going to step their game up a little bit. But to be honest, as long as we qualify somewhere decent, that's absolutely fine because we can try and minimise the damage to Chantra. Now, of course, Chantra is on pole position, so that's not ideal. But of course, he might not actually get pole in this session. Of course, he's only provisional pole because of his free practice time. So, you know, he could potentially struggle in this session. You do get that sometimes. You might get an AI that's top practice, but then struggles in qualifying. So, it's all up in the air. It's anyone's game, really. But as long as we qualify in the top 10, maybe top 9, we should be quite good. Because if we get a good start, then we can get and mix it with the AI. But they are pretty aggressive at this track. Especially sort of in the last sector, they have a massive gap over me. I'm actually pretty much level with them all the way till the last sector, and that's where all the time comes. So if I could just try and work on that last sector and just polish up my sectors 1, 2 and 3, then I actually might be able to do a decent lap time. So here we are then starting our lap. I've got a little bit of a marker of Bobier. It's not intentionally, he actually just overtook me on my out lap, but hopefully it doesn't get in my way in the first couple of sectors. So there we go then, coming through the last corner. We've had a bit of a battle with Bobier throughout this lap. 204.5, not a bad lap. That's currently P6, 3 tenths off pole. That's a close grid. That is a close grid, but 6 tenths quicker than Bobier. That's good, but I assume that it's going to be me and Bobier towards the back. And I've lost that lap because I was looking at the standings, so I'm going to see if I can improve. But to be honest, 3 tenths off pole is not bad. That's just quite a big, it's quite a close field. So coming towards the line then, we're now down into 15th place. We've improved by 2.5 tenths. Where's that going to put me? 6th place, much more like it. Again, still super close to pole position to be down in 6th place. We've only got 5 minutes left, so I don't think I've really got time to go back and fill back up, so I've just got to hope that's enough, because 6th place on the grid, that's good enough for me. That's still a position where you can fight for a podium. So then, at the end of qualifying, we did actually manage to keep that 6th position. Iagora is on pole position, Aaron Canet in 2nd place. Not seen him at the front for a while. There was actually a run of races I seem to remember earlier on in the season where he was pretty strong, but he seems to have bounced back a little bit in this one. Some Chantra in 3rd place. Of course, he is the main target. But of course, again, even if I lose a couple of points to him, it doesn't matter. We've got such a big championship lead. There will be rounds where we are quite dominant. There will also be other rounds where we struggle a bit like this as well, I think. But there'll definitely be rounds where we can make up any points we do lose. And also, we've got a big cushion already anyway that they can eat into. It'll take a long time for them to reduce that one. So if we head into the race then, the AI are going to be super aggressive, so it is going to be quite difficult. If I can get a good start, maybe try and get on the back of Chantra, we will see, but we will probably be dive bombed. The front is going to be really dodgy at this track as well, trying to trail break in some of the corners. It just feels horrible. The front in this game is really bad. The front end is really bad. So it definitely will be a tricky race, but we'll head into it now then. I'll see you down on the grid. So then, here we are down on the grid for the British Grand Prix. We're just looking at Aaron Canet in second position there. Then at Bo Benschneider down in 17th. His AI is a really interesting one because it bounces about all the time. Sometimes he'll be on pole position, but sometimes he'll be down there. It is really weird. The AI in Moto2 in particular are quite strange, and I think it is kind of designed that way. I think the AI is designed to be pretty close in this class because one week some guy can win and then be quite far down the back. It is such a competitive category, especially with everybody pretty much being on the same machinery. Before this race, I think we are going to go with the medium. I don't think you're going to need the hard tyre here, especially with it being Britain. It'll be too cold, but the soft would get absolutely eaten alive, so you don't want to go with that. So again, as you always do pretty much, just go for the medium tyre. If we use Palmer 3 off the line, we should hopefully be able to maybe jump a couple into turn 1, but it is a very short run, so, you know, it'll be tricky. And of course, it is one of those corners that's quite a sweeping corner, so some of the AI might come from the outside. You can see we're right on the inside here, so yes, we'll have a good opportunity to maybe pass people, but then also we might have to brake a bit earlier than some of the AI on the outside because we'll have a tighter corner, so that is, of course, worth taking into account. But without any further ado, we'll get this race started then, and let's see what we can do.
The riders have been greeted by a fantastic atmosphere here at Silverstone. They're all lined up for the start, ready for some British Grand Prix action.
So Agora on pole position, Canet alongside Chantra in third position. The lights are on, waiting for the lights to go here then at Silverstone. Lights out and away we go. We actually have had a really good start. We're not surely going to get the lead into turn 1. We actually are as well. The AI start has been absolutely terrible, just like in Mugello, if you remember, when we struggled in qualifying there. I think we went from last to first there, to be fair, so it's not quite as good as that, but honestly, it is not far off. So we lead here, our home Grand Prix, and that is the power of Palmer 3 off the line. The AI, with their bad starts as well, sometimes their starts are a bit worse than others, but on this occasion, they've had a really bad one. We've got half a second already, so I think we've just got to push on. We've just got to go for this, because the AI are probably better than me here, so it's probably worth me pushing on, maybe burning a bit of fuel early on, just to create a gap, so that we're not under too much pressure. Not so many laps at this track, of course, because it's quite long, so only 5 laps, so again, that is, well, it doesn't make much difference because the distance is the same, but if there's sections where you're weak, you don't have to go through them as many times. So we had a very good first lap there. You can see we're 1.9 seconds in the lead. Now, I think they actually are going to catch me up, to be fair. Once they get into their stride and they've done a couple of laps, so they start to catch you up, you can see they've already taken 0.4 out in that sector. I think they definitely will catch me, but it's better to have a little bit of a lead like this and be caught up than be in the pack, because if I'm in the pack, they'll just shuffle me to the back of it. They'll be super aggressive and just keep putting me offline. Whereas now that I've got a bit of a lead, yes, they'll catch me up, but I'm not being shuffled backwards, so all the time what's they're catching me is just time that we're getting through the race. Now, I'm also obviously getting faster the more laps I do, and I'm definitely finding a bit more time in the sectors where I'm good, and probably even the ones where I'm bad as well. But they definitely have an advantage in the last sector. I've run a bit wide there, so that's going to help them out. So with that mistake and a bad run, you can see they've already gained on me. They're already 7 tenths behind, so they'll catch me pretty quickly. They're in the 204s in the race. I was in the 204s in qualifying with Power 3. Of course, I'm using Power 3 quite a bit. I'm trying to make the most of it. But of course, I've got to manage my fuel loss in Power 2 for most of that lap. So, like I said, they will start to catch me now that they're bedded in, and they're probably using... Well, I'm now using the same power mode as them rather than having an advantage, because obviously I did Power 3 for the whole first lap just to build a gap. So that's 2 laps completed already, though. We're getting towards half race distance, and I've still got a half a second lead, so that's much better. If I was in the pack, I could be potentially like struggling to be in the top 10 at this point. Oh, Vietti's crashed. Vietti's just crashed in the background. I do seem to remember there was a couple of corners here where they did crash quite a lot, so that might play to my favour, especially once I'm closer to them. They'll definitely start trying to take the inside line, and they're more likely to clip a sausage curb. So that might buy me a couple of seconds. Seem to remember that from the Moto3 season, but Canet is already attacking. So Canet's right on me now. So we've got a battle on our hands. Feels weird to say it this early, but we're starting the penultimate lap of the race. You can see Agora and Chantra have both passed Canet in the last corner. So there's the 2 Honda Team Asia bikes behind, and they, of course, are the championship rivals. Agora's a little bit further behind, but they are pretty close. But even in the Teams Championship, they are the main competitors, so it's important to the team that I do beat them. Now, of course, we do have a big lead there too, but again, I'd rather not lose points because there probably will be rounds where we struggle more than this. Even though I've struggled at this round to an extent, there will be rounds where we're even worse. And I want to make sure we've got the biggest points that we can for those rounds. You can see Agora's got the run. Agora has taken the lead. We get the slipstream on Agora. Use a little bit of power mode 3. Can we close up to him? Can we outbrake up the side into Stowe? No, we can't actually. So fair enough, because the AI are usually pretty weak on the brakes. We might be able to get him into Vale though. On the power out of Stowe. Again in the slipstream of Agora. I believe we had contact with Sam Lowe's in Moto2 here last year, so maybe I'll have to remember that one. Agora goes a bit wide. Chandra's now attacking us into Vale actually, and now Cadet's coming back through on the inside to return 9. So we've both lost out to Aaron Cadet because Cadet was very opportunistic there, and Augusto Fernandez is getting involved as well now. This is what I mean. You get beaten up as soon as you get into the pack. Trying to use a little bit of power mode 3 because if I can try and stay on the podium, if I can then save some power mode 3 for the final lap, I might be able to attack Canet. I think Agora might be gone at this point, to be fair. Even though it's not that big of a lead, the AI are clearly quicker than me at the circuit. It's really just my tactics that have actually kept me in this position. And we've been hit a little bit there by Augusto Fernandez, so Fernandez has just punted us out of the way, so it's a bit over the line, that one, to be fair. And now Chantra comes up the inside. This is what I meant about being shuffled back, by the way. They will just hit you, and that allows another one to do the same, and the same, and the same. So this is exactly why I wanted that lead previously. There's been a yellow flag, so there's been a crash behind, but I'm not sure exactly who it is. Doesn't seem to be any of the front runners, of course, because it didn't happen in front. This is like Dixon. That is still up there. We've just been punted wide by Chantra. I think Chantra did actually apologise for that one. His AI did at least, but I'm not happy about that one. Our championship rival bashing us out the way. So we start the final lap of our home Grand Prix here. We've gone a bit wide. Oh, the curb, big wheelie as well. That's not what I need. So I think Agora's got this one won, but second place is definitely still on the cards. You can see they are battling ahead, Augusto Fernandez and Canet. And if Chantra tries to get involved, you never know what might happen. So here we are then, on to the back straight. We've got the slipstream on Chantra, but Chantra's got the slipstream on Canet, who's got it on Fernandez. So we're all neutralising each other a bit, but up the inside we go. Into Stowe, up the inside of 2 of them. Wow, I'm sorry, Canet. We have just absolutely punted Canet out the way there. We've lost the rear end. We've gone onto the green. That's surely going to be a track limits warning. It is. Indeed, I was still in power 3 and accelerated out of there like I was in power 2. I was lucky not to crash, to be honest. Canet gets his nose back at the inside. There's been in contact again with Canet, but on that occasion, I'm not accepting fault. I was in front, just parked on the apex because I was trying to get the bike turned. That's now allowed Jake Dixon to attack us, and of course he will be desperate to try and get on the podium, being a Brit as well. So this battle could go right down to the death. There's been a crash behind, not sure it is. Another yellow flag, so it seems like the same section of track once again. But we've gone on the curb a little bit there. We had got the run on Chantra. I think now, to be honest, we've probably got to worry more about Dixon as we go down towards Brooklands. I tried on the inside of Chantra, but it's not close enough. We've got to watch out for Dixon. He might try and attack us as well. Looks like Agora's got this one won. Fernandez has safely got second. I think, to be fair, Chantra's got third place. We're going to be robbed of fourth, though, by Jake Dixon by the looks of it. I don't know how he turned at that time. The AI have such an advantage through there. Schrotter's going to try and get me through the last corner as well, but I'm not having any of it. On the power, up towards the lines. 5th place here in Silverstone. Not a bad result, to be fair. So really, the second half of the race was the kind of race I expected the whole way through. But you saw how we got shuffled to the back. Of course, we were first place, then we were second, then we were sort of battling for second for a bit, then we were third, we were battling for third place, then we were sort of battling for fourth at the end, and we just got mugged by Dixon. And that's how easy it happens. You can get shuffled through the order so easily, which is why I was really happy with the starting position, because I knew we could probably get a good first lap, perhaps even get the run into turn 1. I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't expect to get it that easily, by the way. Then, once I got the lead, I knew what I had to do. Push the bike, managed to do a decent fastest lap, I suppose. Well, of course, it's not classified here because it's lap 1, but I did a pretty decent lap on lap 1, put a bit of a gap, and then just tried to manage it the best I could. But the AI were always going to come. They were always so much faster than me, but to be fair, I'm quite happy with that. I think we rode a pretty good race, a pretty tactical race there. Fair play to Agora, fair play to all the AI. A little bit annoyed at Chantra, but then I gave some back to Canet, and I do feel a bit bad about that, but genuinely was a misjudgment. I was trying to pass Chantra only, I wasn't even trying to pass Canet, but ended up hitting into the side of Aaron. So if we look at the championship standings now to see what damage that's done, very little, because you can see we've still got an 87-point lead over Somkiat Chantra, so it took a couple of points out of us, but nothing too major there. Agora moves back up into third ahead of Joe Roberts, 97 points behind. Joe Roberts now literally has half of our points, 111 to our 222. Arbolino also moves out of position there. You can see Augusto Fernandez moves up 6 places. I think I made a comment about it in the last episode that he was our championship rival at one point, and he was then down to like 14th in the championship, but he's moved back up into 8th. But look how the mighty have fallen, 138 points behind. That is a ridiculous number. And then looking at the Teams Championship, this is where the damage will have been done slightly, but the lead is still 79 points. That's still a pretty handy lead, because obviously Joe Roberts is still up there in the Championship. Yes, the two Honda Team Asia boys are probably a better package, but I'm carrying the team quite a bit with my big Championship lead, so we're still okay. But if we do have more poor weekends, of course, they can make up the ground because both their riders are there. So it would be nice if Roberts was there a bit more, because this is a weak weekend for me. It'd be nice if Joe Roberts was the rider that won the race, but just obviously that's not quite how it works. The AI teammates never seem to be that strong. With that weekend done then, we'll head back to the Career Hub, see what we've got to do, and then we'll end off the episode. So then, from that weekend, we actually did achieve all of our objectives set in the contract, so it was actually a pretty good weekend in terms of the reputation. So 7,500 reputation, which takes us up to 167,200. So with the credits, it's a very similar story once again. So we've actually had a pretty good weekend overall. Obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed to have not won, because we've won so many races this season. But 5th place is actually a pretty good result at a track where I struggled to even do a good time in practice. You know, I almost didn't get through to Q2, so I'm actually quite happy with that. 12,090 credits, which takes us up to 404,417. So we actually do have a lot of notifications here. I'm actually going to advance forward to the next race, which is only a week ahead, and then have a look at all the notifications we've got there. You can see we've got 4 proposals now. We've got more teams that are actually interested as well, which is fantastic. So if we have a look at the proposals, so we've actually got Grassini Racing that's now interested. Now, of course, we're not staying at Moto2 for next season, so we don't really need to sign with any of these, so we're going to ignore that. But I assume these ones here are going to be to do with MotoGP teams. So if we look at factory teams, we've now got Tech3 KTM, and LCR Honda Idemitsu, so of course that'll be Gas Factory Racing for next season. And then we've got the LCR team interested. Obviously Suzuki aren't interested, but they're not going to be around next season, so we can't sign for them. We've got Repsol, so basically it's just the factory bikes that are really not interested. Obviously there is a couple here that are, well, we've actually got Aprilia Racing, which is a factory team, so that'd be pretty decent to sign for them. And as for the establishment of new teams, I think they're all interested now, by the looks of it. No, there's still some of the higher up teams there that are not interested. We've got pretty good offers there in MotoGP, so we can actually sign for some of these teams if we do want to. And then we have got one thing on the technical staff as well, a chief engineer. Wow, this is going to be a pretty difficult name for me to pronounce, this one here. So Arthit, I can kind of get through that one, or Arthit, I guess it depends, again, on the pronunciation. Aduladij, I guess. I'm really sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, but yeah, that is not easy for native English to say. But there you go, he's applied for us, and in terms of the stats, they're not fantastic, but we'll leave it for now. Of course, we probably won't sign any chief engineers till we actually get to MotoGP. But that pretty much brings an end to this episode, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. Again, a very tactically ridden race. I'm actually quite pleased with my performance. A bit of a shame about the result, I guess it wasn't a win, but it was a good battle. It was a better battle, probably a better episode, to be fair, than the Kimi Ring. That was quite boring being out at the front, so I am happy I got to have a bit of a scrap. It's just always nice when you actually win the scrap, or you do pretty well, but I think we actually did pretty much the best I could. I got a great start. I qualified fairly decently in the first place, which allowed that start to happen. We pulled a bit of a gap. Obviously, then we did get caught up, but I expected that. I was saying that to you guys right from the beginning. I was going to get caught, and then I managed to just not drop too far back through the pack. So, to be fair, I'm quite happy with my performance. But like I said, I hope you guys did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you'll stay safe, and I shall see you in the next one.